Hello, my name is Margarita, and the topic I'm going to reflect on is the women's rights movements. After reading the document, it made me curious to investigate a little bit more, and I found that it's all based on a statement where women and men are created equal. It went all the way back to the year of 1817, where the first woman began picketing in front of the White House. I don't know how they got the courage back then to do such a thing, being in such a men's control environment, but they did. So this caused their imprisonment, even though they were released a little while after. They continued. So the government decided to put a little bit more pressure on them by torturing them in prison to make them stop, but it didn't. They continued, and little by little, they got more organized. So in 1848, they had their first formal women's convention where more than 100 women got together, attended, and this gave them more courage to form associations and unions at the workplaces. Then came the first colored women association in the year of 1896. This was big progress for women, and also because they were colored, they were also getting involved in all these movements. All of this, they did it through actions of lobbying in Congress, of picketing in different government offices, and having massive parades in the most important cities in the U.S. It was very controversial, all of this, because the government really didn't want changes, but the women did. So another thing that I found interesting, that when the first planning clinic was a big scandal in Brooklyn, New York, and they had the woman that opened it imprisoned. But later on, she won the lawsuit and she was released, where she went again, and in New York City, she opened another clinic. I mean, they never gave up. They kept going. They were fighting later on for different situations. And if I go all the way to the 1980s, where there was increasing number of women in Congress, this was a big success. Also, they mentioned the first lawsuit in where it was involved the sexual discrimination as harassment at a job place in a bank. All of this was very impressive for me, because it was way back. These situations for me I would consider them recent, but no, it began further in time. So if we go all the way up to where they began fighting to have major penalties for sexual harassment and domestic violence that they would consider normal. All of these laws were approved, so they had to have special training for the police officers who addressed these situations. That was no longer permitted in society. If we go all the way up to the where we have the President Obama, where he prohibits the sex-based discriminations, no matter where it is, at a job place, at any situation, we have to be treated equal. The most recent is a case that was surprising, where a woman was paid less doing the same job as a man. I couldn't believe that. And thanks to that now we can all be paid the same. In the year 2013 was lifted the rule of where women could not serve combat. This rule passed in the 1990s, but now they can go back to serving in combat. All of this has been a big success for women, but still we have to consider our differences. We are different, okay, even though we want to be treated equally, and we have different roles in society. We can't really disconnect from all of that. Thank you very much.